Welcome everyone to Monday Night Conscious Community class. It is June 8th, 2020. If you don't know, my name is Matthew Brownstein. I'm the founder and lead instructor of the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, the president of the International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. I run my own little publishing company for my books and some of our graduates' books, and recent project founded onlinemonastery.com, where I'm disseminating what I call the Anahat teachings or the Anahat meditation system. And part of why I'm giving a little bit more introduction to me, at least some of those titles, is because we're talking tonight about financial prosperity, about using your mind to increase wealth and abundance in your life. And we have a good question in the chat pod that can even get us started on the theme, right? There's a hypnotherapy school, primarily, is why we're all here. And a lot of you are going into or already in your private practice, and we all want to make more money, right? There's really no debating that. But somebody had written about the idea that moving into a hypnotherapy practice, they don't want that to be all about money. And my response to that, which can help to get us started, is it's all about service to others, right? So if you say, I'm going to see 25 full-paying clients per week, then, and they're all full paying, then the money is bound to follow. And I know our successful graduates can absolutely do, can't promise everybody does, that's my little hesitation on the word, so can't promise everybody does, but our successful graduates do make over $100,000 per year. I'm working with a couple graduates right now in private sessions, and we're working to increase their ability to make more money. But this class isn't just for hypnotherapists. It would be for anybody who wants to use their power of their mind to bring more money into their life. And I like starting with the question that was in the chat pod, because it's not all about the money. But if we're honest with ourselves, if I said, here, I'll just give you $10,000, right? You wouldn't be like, oh, no, I'm not into that. Everybody's into that. So we're going to look at tonight 22 different prosperity principles. And I'll elaborate on each one as we go through them. Feel free to ask questions or even contribute to what your goals might be, because at the end of the class, whenever we get to that, I'll do a hypnotic programming session, programming in all of these ideas. So I'll just give you a brief introduction. Excuse me. When I first got into all of this, I was really, I was a religion and philosophy major, so money didn't matter. I just want to live in an ashram or a monastery and could care less about money. And then I spent 2 years in Chinese medical school, and I was like, okay, I can make some good money with this, but it didn't really matter so much. It was just all about being of service to people, helping. Since I wasn't going to live in a monastery, let me at least be in a career where I can give back to others and just make a healthy living. But then as I started getting into hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming studies and related topics, I started realizing that my mind, which I already knew, but I didn't really know how to fully use it. I knew my mind was very powerful. I learned that from spiritual teachings. But then when I started realizing all I have to do, if I say $10,000, all I have to do is add a zero to the end, and it just became 100,000. And I was like, why not start doing some really powerful programming to increase my income without having to necessarily work more? And my experience of this is it's such a worthwhile investment. So those of you who are here, if you're watching this as a recording, to take the approximate 2 hours we'll use tonight is, I'm not asking for any money for this class. I do these for free. To take 2 hours of your time, or if there was a financial investment, which there isn't here, but if there was, like let's say you did a private session with me, or even a few, or you listened to some of my audio recordings I've made about this. I have a Manifesting Prosperity workbook set. At one time I was selling, and again, I'm not selling anything right now, I'm just making a point. I was selling a Manifesting Prosperity CD back when CDs were the thing, and I sold that for $17.95. That's it, plus sales tax. And when people would say, oh, I don't know, is that going to work? I'm like, it's less than 20 bucks. What if it made you $40? Doubled your return on your investment. It's not so bad. But what if hypnotic programming for your subconscious mind could turn wherever you're currently at into something twice as much? Now, what we're going to do, let's start screen share now with these 22 principles. I just did it on a simple Word document. I didn't take a whole lot of time to make anything too pretty tonight. Let's just align this a little. What we're going to do at the bottom of this page is I will write down hypnotic programming suggestions. Oh, I don't see the chat pod. Give me a sec because I do want you to be able to interact with me if you want to. Okay, so I can see if you guys type anything. So we're going to look at these 22 things. I encourage you not to really focus on that, mostly just focus on me. And I'll take you through all of these themes. And we'll be writing down suggestions on this page and turning that into a really powerful hypnotic programming session that should be generic, that could be used for anybody. Okay, so my point was, if you invest in your subconscious mind with these financial prosperity principles, you are bound to make more money. And again, the way we started this, you're not money motivated. In fact, one of the points that we'll look at, it's going to be number, again, these aren't a specific order, just wrote this before we started. But after, I would say, about 22 years of doing this work, these are the principles that really have stuck with me. So somewhere in there, we're going to look at, oh, there it is, number 16, lack of healthy priorities. If your priority is to make money, just that's it, for the sake of making money, to me, it's not a very fulfilling life at all. Yet when you're leading a very fulfilling life and the money is coming in, that's beautiful. And right now, it's this COVID-19 times. We've got 40 million or something Americans unemployed. God knows how many people are working at jobs, right? J-O-B, just over broke. How many people are barely making enough to get by in their jobs, and really struggling. What I love to do with our students, because we're a career school, so when I grad, not if, because I was saying if, but when we graduate students who utilize our advertising, marketing training, business practice management training, and they start doing even $4,000 a week, or so what, $48,000 a year, depending how you count how many weeks are in the year. And then you double that, you're doing 100,000 a year. Just you can really make a really nice living doing hypnotherapy. But again, wherever your income stream is, what we'll talk about tonight is how to turn that into more income. And it's really not that we're prioritizing money, we're prioritizing a fulfilling, healthy life and being of service to others. Yet why not just leverage your mind with some very basic principles? So here's one that's not on this list that we can write down as a suggestion, not necessarily the first one, but I'll give you the good stuff that I've learned over the years as it comes to me. And this would be, let me say it in my mind first, or say it out loud before I write it. Every dollar I spend comes back to me tenfold. So if you're advertising, and let's say you put $100, whatever, small amounts, just to use easy numbers, $100 into your ad, can you expect a 10% or what would be, 10 times return on that investment? Can you turn that $100 into 1,000? If you don't have that kind of programming in your mind, why would you even bother? Right? So every time the way I've done it really is just to keep doubling my income. All right. So when I started hypnotherapy back in 1997, I was 25 years old and I needed to make $4,000 a month just to pay all my bills, to have an office, to have rent, a car payment, student loan payment. Just my basic expenses needed like $4,000 a month. And I set a goal and I said within 1 month, I would see 20 or 25, or whatever it was, I reached the goal. I was like 25 full paying clients per week. And within 3 weeks, using the power of my mind, I had done that. But since then, I've always worked to double my yearly income. Yet why would, if you don't program that in, you don't necessarily, it doesn't really happen. So that's what we're going to do, is have a list of very powerful prosperity suggestions that come together through this class. I'm going to talk a lot, but again, feel free to interact and make this kind of your class as well. I'll definitely pause at some point for Q&A, question answer time. But again, at the end, we'll program all of this in. So let's start with number one, based on what I'm saying. The power of your mind and how much it can limit you, or just getting certain ideas embedded in the subconscious, can change everything. Number one, financial self-esteem. Inside your subconscious mind essentially is your programming for how much money you believe you can make and what you think about money, how you feel about money. A lot of us who are part of this school, myself included for sure, are deeply spiritual people. We prioritize spirituality, we prioritize emotional clearing, healing, caring for others, and therefore money becomes this not so okay thing. Yet I'm going to suggest in a really fulfilled spiritual life, there is abundance, there is prosperity, there is success. In fact, I'm going to put those words down as things that we'll program in. Abundance, prosperity, success. In a sense, this is what I would do with a client for financial prosperity programming. We would talk about their specific goals, which we'll cover tonight a little bit, how to set goals that can be very helpful for you. We won't program them in because this will be a generic class. Yet what I'm usually doing with the client is saying, let's mutually agree upon what we're going to put into your subconscious, and we'll write it down and we'll put it in, we'll program it in. You can do more than just hypnotic programming. You can do subliminal programming and have those messages going all the time. You can make suggestions and affirmations and just that you can hear, not just subliminal. Play those all the time. There's lots of tips to use. That the point is change the subconscious programming. So in number one, financial self-esteem. Most of us who have hypnotherapy training, at least at our school, understand the subconscious mind's self-esteem is pretty well solidified by the ages of 3 to 4 years old. Right? Your general sense of self-esteem is pretty well locked in by the age of 3 or 4. If you don't do something to change that programming, you're in default mode. If your childhood programming was really good about making large amounts of money and being very successful, you will by default. But if the programming is somewhat limited, then that's going to influence you. I have two stories I remember as a kid that are relevant. My parents might remember. I was sitting in the back of the car one day. I must have been younger than 10 years old. And my mother said, do you have any money? I don't know why she asked, but she said, do you have any money with you? And I said, yeah, I have $10. She's like, what, $10? That's a lot of money. And I was a little shocked actually as a kid, because I'm like, you think that was a lot of money? But I had childhood programming. This is one example. It's not the whole sense of self-esteem at all, but it's a cute little example of a child being told $10 is a lot of money, rather than like, oh, great, let's turn that into even more money. But it was a little bit of programming that said, that's like the statement, it was a lot, was kind of a statement of, you shouldn't take that much money out of the house because you can end up losing it because that's a lot of money. That's what that statement, that's how I interpreted it as a kid, right? And not no critique at all to the parenting style here, but just imagine our childhood programming, like how much money do you feel that you make, your family makes? What is the norm? What is the default? And so that little example is not really the default, but here's another one I remember. I remember as a kid seeing the Monte Carlo SS, that car back then. And I remember saying, like, I wanted that kind of car. And I remember my inner self-esteem at the time, I verbalized, like, I'll someday have a $40,000 car. And I remember one of my parents, I think it was my mom, said, that's a lot of money, and kind of implying like you don't need such an expensive car. Now I'm very into luxury cars. So it's just a small example, but it's not just like those little things that a parent might say to a child. It's just the general sense of how much do we as a family make. So one thing you can do, and we'll look at these 3 words on financial self-esteem: comfort, discomfort, panic zone. Now, one way to start to measure, so let me give you that teaching, so we can start to understand how is the financial self-esteem developed or set, because it's not just those cute little statements like, oh, $10 is a lot of money, or 40,000 is like way too much for a car. It's just more about, like, oh, you grow up in a wealthy family and money is just the norm. If you grow up with a low middle class, whatever family, that standard's going to be there. The idea is to expand that programming. Your comfort zone, and this could be anything, not just money. Imagine it a circle, right? Your financial self-esteem is the size of a circle. To understand that, just think about the most money you've ever made per year. Let's say it's $50,000 per year. That's your comfort zone. You can make it because you're used to it. It doesn't go against programming. Your inner child, your sense of self-esteem. And we're going to talk about in number 2, the transactional analysis model. of inner parent, inner adult, and inner child. It's not just your inner child who has programming about finances. You also have an inner parent or parents, but there's kind of like one voice that represents the voice of your caregivers, usually just your parents, but it could be very much society in general, including other teachers, and the idea of going beyond your parents we'll talk about. So anyway, when you think of this financial self-esteem circle, you can think of your financial self-worth, like how much have you made per year, and that pretty much defines that. But also you might want to think about the family that you grew out of, like what is their general sense of financial comfort. And here's the teaching. You never live outside of your self-esteem. You never live outside of that comfort zone circle, because to do so causes fear. And that's the next circle. If I had time today, I would have drawn this for you. But just imagine 3 concentric circles. The inner circle is your comfort zone. And let's say that's 50,000 a year. The next circle is your discomfort, uncomfortable zone. The uncomfortable zone is something that's going to scare you a little bit, but you could probably achieve it at least for a while. All right, so let's say you average 50,000 a year, and there was a year, one good year, you did 75,000, but you don't maintain it because that's your uncomfortable zone. The idea of hypnotic programming here is to expand what was the discomfort zone, the uncomfortable zone, to become your comfort zone. All right, so we can put something, we're not going to do specific numbers tonight because it's a generic class, but you can put into hypnotic programming. So think about that number. I hope it's already in your mind, right? You're like, okay, well, I've done 100,000 a year, but I can't really maintain it or something. You want to start programming in just a bit more than, or maybe not too much more because that becomes your panic zone, but start programming more. So if you've been doing 50,000 a year and you've been able to push the 75,000 like once, then program in like 80,000 or 90,000. Just push that. Again, exact numbers don't really matter, but expand that and watch how your actions, your behaviors, your emotions, everything starts to reflect the new standard you're setting for yourself. But don't program in too much right away because that becomes your panic zone. Right? And it's not just about money. So in hypnotherapy, I always encourage you guys, this isn't on the teaching here, but it's a worthwhile teaching, 7 ways to advertise, to market, to promote your private practice. Not just one, not just a website and wonder why nobody comes to you without marketing the website, not just posting flyers around town and only that and wondering why you don't have clients. You do 7 very effective things to pull people into reality. So one of those that I recommend is public speaking. But let's say your your self-esteem circle says, oh no, I'm too scared to speak in public. Or the the self-esteem circle says, I'm too stupid. I'm not intelligent enough to market myself and to get in front of people. I mean, they'll judge me. They'll see that I'm stupid and worthless. That kind of programming, so it's not just the number of, let's say, 50,000 or whatever, that's limiting you. You might really want to look at core beliefs that hold you back. And you can do what we call STEM sentence completion, and something like, so with public speaking, the one thing I wouldn't want them to see about me is, now you can look for fear of judgment there. It's just one example. I'll try to give you a few you can work with as homework. The one thing I wouldn't want them to see about me is, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm shameful, I'm dirty, I'm disgusting, I'm stupid, I'm a bad person. These are the kind of beliefs we hear from our clients as hypnotherapists. Just changing that alone is beneficial to raise self-esteem. Yet if you're interested, which you would be if you're listening to this class or watching the recording, you're interested in making more money. And the limiting self-esteem beliefs will hold you back. So you want to reprogram those. Another STEM sentence could be something like, the one thing that holds me back is, and then that list might not just be finance, self-esteem. It could be things like, I don't have enough working capital. I don't have enough money to get started. I don't know how to do internet marketing. I don't like social media. Find the limitations in your mind, and then we can use hypnotic programming to change those. So the idea is you change the number to a bigger, but not huge, just bigger number, bigger than you've maybe ever made before, and then start to overcome the low self-esteem and fears to be able to actualize that, to feel, oh, yeah, of course I make over $100,000 per year. You want that to become your new norm. Here's another nice thing that I guess I still do now. I won't mention what the number is, but I can say way back when I was doing my private hypnotherapy practice, something that I programmed in to be a basic standard. And again, this is a very low number compared to what I make now. But at the time in private practice, when $5,000 was really a lot of money, I programmed into my subconscious. I always have at least $5,000 in the bank. Like now, that would be really scary to have that little in the bank. But if you're hovering just over broke, paycheck to paycheck kind of thing, if you don't just have 5,000 extra dollars just to spend if you needed it for an emergency, program in, set that standard. I always have a certain basic amount of money. And again, it's an idea of a circle and how big is that? And then eventually you can be like, wow, that's actually not a lot of money, to feel safe. So bump that up to 10,000, right? How much is in your savings account? And then, of course, there's lots of other ways to talk about savings. Let me give you a brief financial prosperity thought on number, and then we'll get to it later. Number 8, turning income into assets. Or number 7, 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. To have that comfort, that buffer zone, if you don't have it already set up, you have a checking account and a savings account. This is like the most basic way of thinking about this stuff. So obviously you can be more sophisticated with this, with investment portfolios and whatnot. Take a certain amount of money that comes in every single month and set your checking account to automatically dump it into, it's just like an automatic transfer into the savings account. And even if that's like $100, just force yourself to do it. My experience is the universe, however you want to look at it that way, whatever word you use for the big picture, tends to support us in what we demand of it, right? If we're like, no, I expect, I demand, I decree, I will for 25 full paying clients per week. And that could be $100,000 per year income. So let's say you're doing 2,000 a week. Of that 2,000 a week, right, dump 500 of that, or 10% at least, right? So dump like $400 of that every week into the savings account. But what you're doing, so that's just a basic, savings principle. But if you're not doing it, do that kind of thing. All of my checking accounts, and there's multiple accounts all over, they're all dumping money constantly into savings account or investment portfolio. It's not just sitting there. It's learning to let your money make more money, which we can talk more about. Okay, so principle 1, before I move on, do hypnotic programming. Let's come up with a suggestion now. I continually raise my financial self-esteem to continue to raise my self-esteem to, I'm going to put the word continually, it's repeated, but we'll change that later, to continually grow my wealth. Now, if the word wealth is a trigger for you, you're not comfortable with those kind of words, we'll get to that with principle number 5. You will never let yourself be what you resent. Now, if you have a problem with rich people, wealthy people, that rubs you the wrong way, that's negative programming. And we have a way to look at that and process that we can talk about. Okay, so the major theme is expand your financial self-esteem circle, and number 17 on our list, develop financial intelligence. A lot of spiritually minded people learn about some things like visualization or affirmation, and they sit there visualizing money. They visualize, you do your dream board, you take pictures of $100 bills, you put them on your dream board, and you affirm in your mind over and over again, I am wealthy and successful. I am wealthy and successful. And after 5, 10, 20 years of doing that stuff, those people don't tend to make much money. There's ways to use your mind to make more money. But if you look at the very successful multimillionaire, billionaire people in the world, like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, you study these people's lives, you don't hear them teaching about visualization very much. The good book, if you've never read it, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill did a lot of research. I think it was 100 of the wealthiest people of his time. And he asked, what are they doing that helps them to succeed? And while there is the PMA idea, positive mental attitude, there's also something, at least I'm going to say it in my words, things that successful people do, and it's not necessarily just visualizing the $100 bills. I smile at it, I laugh at it a bit because I just see how many people get into this, and it's just not what Bill Gates did, right? So advice would be, I'm not going to put this as a programming thing, but you might really consider starting to start studying the great CEOs, like Ben Franklin, in the CEO category, but read his writings, read his life. He became extremely financially successful. What was he doing mentally? In neurolinguistic programming, we have a presupposition that if someone else can do something, so can you. Yet you have to have your mind match the internal structure, how they structure their mind. And you can dissect that by studying the lives of any successful person. All right, so looking like Oprah Winfrey, was she just visualizing $100 bills? What's some of the formula behind a lot of that? But again, here we're talking from kind of a hypnotherapy perspective. And number one, the self-esteem circle. If you don't program that to be bigger and kind of demand of yourself to bring more affluence into your life, that's a good word we can put here. Abundance, prosperity, affluence. If you're not programming that in, you don't open up. We have something in the brain called the RAS, the reticular activating system. It has other functions, but those of us in the field kind of come to understand the RAS is the part of your brain, which will, and I'm going to say, I don't necessarily believe the mind is just the brain, but this is a part of your brain, but again, we're getting your mind engaged is a part of your mind brain, which will look for things that you want to find and will somehow start to find them. So if you're kind of in the market for a new Jeep, you're looking around and like when you're driving, all you see is Jeeps everywhere. When you look for something, when you program in to be open to it, your mind has the ability to find it, to see what's actually already there. All right, so the secrets for wealth and success aren't secrets anymore. YouTube has everything you want to know. But if you're not even opening your mind to more, if you're against more, if you think more is not better, like more money is not better. When we do hypnotic programming, I always program in more and more money. You don't want to program in less and less money. We program in less and less body fat. Right? We program in that you can lose weight. Or addictions, like for cigarettes, become less and less important. Food becomes less and less important. Yet your financial freedom becomes more and more important. I'm going to jump ahead to number 22 for a moment. The idea of the FIRE movement. What that means, in case you don't know, and again, ideas are very powerful. If you never even heard this idea, you wouldn't necessarily even start moving towards it. FIRE is financially independent, retire early. So I'm 47. At 41, my company was pretty much everything I was doing was pretty much running itself except for the jobs I had to do. And I just said to one of my staff at the time, I said, can I just pay you to do what I do? And we're at the top of a skyscraper at the time in downtown Tampa. It was really fun. It was a pinnacle in many ways of my financial success. And it's not measured by a skyscraper or suits or luxury cars, but that was happening. It was really cool to get on the elevator and go down with attorneys and talk to very, very successful people. And I don't know of any hypnotherapy practitioner I'm just a hypnotherapist. And I find myself at the top of a skyscraper. It's really a wonderful experience. So at that time, I said to one of my staff, can I just pay you to do what I do? She goes, yeah. And I said, great. We gave each other a big hug. We, did our agreement. I walked out of that building and basically never looked back. I bought a 4x4 and drove across the country. And I've been just kind of more or less traveling, having fun for the past 6-7 years. I still do my Dharma, which we'll talk about tonight, the idea of your purpose in life. But your Dharma, your purpose in life doesn't mean it has to consume you for 40, 60, 80, 100 hours a week. So I still will always be of service. When COVID-19 came around, I launched the Monday night classes again. I launched the Sunday night classes. I'm seeing clients at a reduced rate for our students just to give back. But I do want to make the point, excuse me, that if you program in, you can set, I don't like the retirement model. When I've definitely been in the place when I left Florida, the skyscraper, and drove across country. Eventually, I was living in Colorado, and I had nothing to do. I was living in the woods. I had bought a nice travel trailer, so I had my 4x4 and travel trailer, and I was just like living in the Colorado Rockies near Rocky Mountain National Park, and I didn't have to do anything. I just literally could stay in bed all day if I wanted to. That's not actually all that desirable. I learned from experience. So to have the financial freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, is amazing. Yet still giving back and being of service is so valuable. And I actually learned that my businesses do run much better, obviously, when I put energy, including my own energy and me, into them. And we could talk about that a little bit. The idea of promoting yourself, you become the product, that you're extremely valuable. Because again, the idea of Dharma is your purpose in life, and only you can do your Dharma. Nobody else can do it. Right? Nobody else can be me. Nobody else can be you. So there was a kind of a mistake to pay somebody to try to be me. It didn't work. It affected the business negatively. So there's a really good book. If you haven't read it, you might look into. If you're open to this idea of financial independence, retire early. It doesn't mean that you don't work or give back or be of service. It just means you don't have to. The book is by Timothy Ferriss, Ferris, Tim Ferriss, and it's the 4-Hour Work Week. Part of what inspired me was a client of mine actually became a really good friend. He retired as a multimillionaire at the age of 27. When we met, he was about 35, and he had been pretty much retired for 8 years, just playing and loving his life. And it really inspired me, and that book inspired me for the idea of why not program my mind, make a lot more money, and do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And if I want to teach, great. If I'm inspired to teach, great. If I want to write books or whatever I want to do. But before COVID-19, I was paragliding around the world. I had paraglided in Colombia and Costa Rica and Peru and Brazil. The last place I was flying over the Chrysler Redeemer statue in Brazil right when COVID was hitting. But the point I want to make without talking too much about me is I've used these principles for me and they work. So if you're open, and again, ideas are so powerful. Financial independence. I'm going to write that as one of the things we'll program in. So if you don't want to be financially free, financially independent, then don't let me program that into your subconscious mind. Financially free, financial freedom, financial independence. All right, let me change that spelling. So I'm going to tidy up points 1 and 2, then and maybe even 3. Then we'll open up to some Q&A time, see where you guys are at, kind of know your audience, you'll know where you guys are at. And then we'll keep going through all the principles. Eventually we'll have a really solid programming session to pull from. So the idea is just raise your financial self-esteem. And you can do that on your own because tonight it'll just be very generic programming, but turn whatever the most amount of money you've ever made is. Consider doubling that, but sometimes that's the panic zone. So just feel like, what if you did 50,000 is the most you ever did? Can you do 75,000? Does that seem realistic? You also need to, like I was saying, increase your general sense of self-esteem. What I do often with clients is after I do the intake and see what's going on in their subconscious mind, I often read it back to them and I say, all right, you just told me that you're worthless, useless, not important, not valuable, nothing, just a thing to be used, who's stupid and incapable and incompetent. How do you think you're going to do in your life? Right? Honestly, every client who comes in has those kind of beliefs, and I don't even think we realize just how destructive those are. If one idea, FIRE, financial independence, retire early, if one idea can change your entire life, what happens when you carry all of those ideas, bad, stupid, unlovable, worthless, unloved, alone, betrayed, abandoned? Those are ideas. They're ideas about yourself. We call them belief systems, but they're false and they're very destructive. So find those. A lot of you, of course, who are in the school know how to do that for yourself. Do that if you haven't done it already. Do STEM sentence completion. Find all of your negative beliefs. Write down the opposite, basically. Write down the truth of who you really are. And you reprogram that with a larger financial amount. Yet beyond just the larger financial amount, because eventually you'll hit that, and then you want to reprogram the next layer. If you do it more general, something like every dollar I spend comes back to me tenfold, or every so often, however long it is, I double my income. It was amazing for me. I'm not going to tell you, of course, how much I make, but when I went from like the 50,000 hypnotherapist thing to the 100,000 per year mark, I was like, wow, that was really nice. And then when that bumped up, and just, again, I don't want to talk about my own finances, but as it kept growing and growing and growing, I realized that kind of programming, the idea of just doubling your income, is very realistic. Sometimes, again, that's too big of a leap, but 10% growth each year is very realistic. But remember, inflation is going to be around 3% or something. So you want to stay way ahead of that curve by programming yourself to continue to make more. Let's talk about number 2, transactional analysis. Dr. Eric Berne, B-E-R-N-E, wrote a very good book in this whole psychology, if you will, called Transactional Analysis. The book is called Games People Play. It doesn't deal with financial self-esteem, and it probably is irrelevant for this discussion, but just so you know where this stuff comes from. Dr. Berne realized that inside of everybody is an inner child, an inner parent, and an inner adult. The inner child is the wanting part of you. It's very much what your self-esteem is rooted in. And when the self-esteem of that part is low, including the number, let's say he says, here's a thing about, some of my programming when I started looking at, like, where is my self-esteem bubble for that? When I was in Chinese medical college, and I don't know, I remember meeting somebody, so I was in my early 20s, and he said something like, yeah, I'm going to be making like $30,000 a year, or something about like $30,000. And to me, that, it was just $30,000 a year seemed really good, because again, I was going to be a monk. So for a monk, $30,000 a year is enough to live. But that was plenty of money for me in my early 20s. Right now, that would not be a good thing if I only made $30,000 a year. So you really want to find that number and increase it. So consider that's your inner child. But now we have what's called the inner parent. The inner parent is a part of everybody's psyche. It's like, if you imagine the child, but then over time, another part develops called the inner parent. So you kind of got two parts in there while you're growing up. The inner parent is the voice of early socialization. So if the child says something like, but I want to do this, and the parent says, no, you shouldn't do that, the voice of the parent ends up in the child's head, right? So when you're about to pick your nose and the parent says, don't do that, something stops that hand. That's the voice of the inner parent. Without elaborating on that, because it's more of the psychology of all this, you want to give some thought to what is your parents' inner programming as well, because whatever your parents made can seriously influence how much you believe you can make. All right, so just be aware of that, but either way, you're just programming in more than ideally what you or your parents made. But there's something important, I put it here, number 2, the idea that a lot of subconscious programming is to not go beyond your parents. The idea is not to make them feel bad, not to show them up. Parents who make children feel guilty, I don't want the child to be more successful than them, because the parent has low self-esteem and they're basically verbally, non-verbally, consciously, unconsciously programming the child that you shouldn't go beyond me because the parents are insecure. Any good parent should program, consciously or unconsciously, verbally or non-verbally, should be programming their children to go beyond the parents. But look out for that when watch your subconscious mind, do some introspection about, have you allowed yourself to succeed beyond those who brought you up? Because it can definitely hold you back. Not externally, not that your current parents, as they are now in the present day age, might tell you, hey, don't succeed more than me. Just realize your inner child might have a big problem with that, because you also have an inner parent who's basically speaking for the voice of the parents inside. If the parents were very supportive and encouraging and encourage you to be your absolute best, then again, by default, you're going to do really well. But if your parents, which most of our clients have parents who were not such good parents, who say things like children should be seen and not heard, and again, verbally or non-verbally, making you believe you're not important, not valuable, not good enough, stupid, incapable. To try to go beyond that, but I am capable, I am able to do things. Your inner child won't allow that to happen. So again, it's not just a financial number of, okay, if mom and dad made 50,000 a year, whatever. It's not just that you won't let yourself go beyond the 50. It's that you have to be confident, capable, self-assured, secure within yourself, believe in yourself, believe in your intelligence. If your inner parent doesn't believe in you, you've got a big part of your psyche. We can't tell you exactly what percentage because it's different for everybody, but let's just say it's divided in thirds. You've got 33% of your psyche essentially possibly telling you, no, you can't do it. And then if you got the inner child, another 33%, and again, that could be more or less, you can't really exactly measure it, but you can see when the imbalances are there. So we'll just talk about a equally divided psyche now, which is not the case in most people. If the inner child is being beaten down by the parents, then remember, it's not just inner child work, it's what we call the parent-child conflict. That conflict is always rooted in guilt, meaning the child tries to be him or herself, but then that parent voice, when it's what we call, when it's negative, the pathological inner critic. So when the child says, yeah, I want to make more money, and the parent says, no, you're not able to do that. Remember, when you're doing work on your client, for yourself here, whatever you can pull from this class, work on both parts of the psyche. The other part of the psyche is the adult ego state. Never underestimate how important that is as well. The subconscious programming, that inner self-esteem part, is very much parent-child. Your adult sense of self is kind of who you know yourself to be, is your conscious mind, is the intellect, analytical, reasoning mind. The advice there, we could probably find a number on here, it really relates to number 17, developing financial intelligence. You can do that, like I was saying, you can study books, you can watch YouTube videos, but if you're not growing the financial intelligence of the adult, big mistake. I would think that's obvious, but I'm going to kind of drill it in a little bit, because not a lot of people do that. Once your subconscious programming allows you to increase your wealth, then your adult ego state, your conscious mind, should start studying more of that stuff. So a couple of books. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's an audio book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Great teachings. The Richest Man in Babylon. I forget the author's name, but I'll reference that tonight a little bit. That influenced me a lot. But there's tons of stuff I could go on and on. The point is to study it, read it, enjoy it. And I personally prioritize time each day, block out time to study investing, to study wealth building and wealth management and protecting assets. It's, again, not something I got into my career. I just wanted to be a monk. So the idea of money really was repulsive to me. I just wanted to meditate on God all day. And then when I opened my private practice, I'm like, wow, I guess I need to get an accountant. And my first accountant taught me how to do a spreadsheet for income, a spreadsheet for expenses, and how to pay taxes. You just have to bite the bullet and be willing to be part of that world. And I know a lot of spiritually minded people aren't. So we talked about 1 and 2. Let's cover 3, then we'll go to Q&A. So 3, spiritual beliefs about money. Like I said, a lot of spiritually minded people have a problem with money. So I'm going to offer you a suggestion that we can put into the programming. I love being, and this isn't actually, it's more of an affirmation. I love being, and we'll talk about that. I love being financially free and spiritually fulfilled. Something like that. Maybe we'll tweak it a little once we get into the official programming. So it's both. It's spirituality and prosperity, but you don't even want to see them as 2 different things. So Deepak Chopra does a lot of good stuff on creating manifesting abundance. He has way back in like 1997, I was listening to an audio cassette tape of his called Creating Affluence. And he said, what's more abundant than God? I was like, wow. So those who are very spiritually minded, of course you want to put your attention on whatever you call that, God, universe, spirit. That's the priority. Yet when you open to that and realize that that wants only goodness and abundance for you, not lack and limitation, then to me, they're not mutually exclusive at all. It's actually the one same reality. All right, so we can talk more about that. We're going to cover all the points. So questions from you guys? Any comments, any sharing? I'll give you a moment here. Just checking the attendance list to be sure I wasn't seeing that during the class. So I'll give you just a sec. I'll take a little drink, type in anything you like. Great. Someone said just downloaded the Think and Grow Rich. It's don't just listen to it once. It's kind of like the Bible, not to compare the two, but what I mean is you don't just read it once and that's it. So you might do like a chapter for 1 week or something, but then go back and repeat it again. And what Napoleon Hill did was study, like I think this is accurate, what I said before, the 100 most successful people he knew of his time. And if you just drill those principles in your head, how could it not benefit you? Okay, I don't see, well, can I get to the bottom of the list? Yeah. All right, so let's keep going. Next point on our page. Secondary gains, negative payoffs. A secondary gain, also known as a negative payoff, is getting something out of having your problem. If you don't sniff out, is how we say it, if you don't sniff out the secondary gains early on in your movement towards anything you want to succeed in, you might find you're not succeeding even though you think you're doing everything right. Like, oh, why can't I lose weight? I'm doing everything right. But then you find out you have a negative payoff. A negative payoff is getting something out of having your problem. You got to be very humble about looking at this, because it's really easy to deny. Like, but I get nothing out of depression. I get nothing out of being in pain. I get nothing out of being broke. So, most of you know me, I'm a very avid paraglider, and I stopped mostly. I flew once not too long ago, but I pretty much stopped flying when COVID-19 came around for various reasons. And but then one day I flew recently. A lot of my buddies were out flying. And I'm like, wow, how is that working out for your business? And, did COVID affect you? And a few of them were like, hey, I'm on unemployment. I got 3 months of free paragliding vacation. I have judgments about all that stuff. But the point I want to make here is they get something out of being unemployed, right? By having the government give you money. You may have heard a lot of people who lost their jobs now are unemployment, and they're making more money in unemployment than they were in their job, like hairstylists who can cut hair, getting $600 a month in unemployment benefits, plus the 600 bonus or whatever they give you. They're making more money than they did in their jobs, so they want to stay in unemployment. You want to be very conscious of how any lack that you have now, and if you haven't heard this term, because some people, it's all new to you with this stuff, it's called lack consciousness. What do you get out of lack consciousness? If you're married, and your significant other supports you financially, but you're listening to this, you want to be financially free, you get something out of not having any money. Well, I don't have to deal with any of this stuff. If I have to have my private practice, let's say in hypnotherapy, because we're a hypnotherapy school, right? But you have to come out from the wing of your significant other, then, wow, if I go into my own private practice, let's just say it's a woman and you're married to a man, so let's say, well, now you've got to worry about your bank account. You have to actually make money. You have to deal with the advertising. You have to deal with possible debt. You're using a credit card to pay your marketing just to get started, whatever. I'm sure I could elaborate on 20 different points about why you'd rather just let your husband provide for you for everything. And that can go the other way too. It's just giving one example of one traditional type of relationship. So if you get something out of being broke, then you won't let yourself succeed. So that's the overview of that. The way you can work to process it is a STEM sentence completion, where you can say something like, the one thing I get out of being unemployed is, or the one thing I get out of staying in my current job is, the one thing I get out of being broke is, and then this can come up in other ways. So personally, I carry disability insurance. My voice is a huge asset, and my voice is insured. And it gets harder and harder to speak as much as I do over the years. So I occasionally have the thought, wow, if I couldn't speak, I could just get my disability insurance, and they'll give me $6,000 a month, and I don't have to work ever again. But that would be a secondary gain that would seriously sabotage wealth building. $6,000 a month is not a whole lot of money. And I can make a whole lot more by staying healthy. So let me encourage, that's just one example. Let me encourage you guys to really sniff out your own secondary gains, and don't kid yourself that you don't have them. You have to kind of, when a client, so I'll give you an example, because again, you can really kid yourself that you don't have them. I'll say to a client, I'm like, tell me why you don't want to lose weight. The one thing I get out of being overweight is, oh, they go, I get nothing. I don't want to be overweight. And then I just say, humor me, finish the sentence. Well, I guess I would have to start eating healthy. I couldn't have my fried egg and cheese sandwiches every morning for breakfast. I remember that client well. If I lose weight, I will have to buy all new clothing. That's going to cost money. I don't want to do that. If I lose weight, I'll have to start being sexual again because then I'll be attractive. That list is big. Do it for you and what it means to be an entrepreneur. All right. So my dad's an entrepreneur. He's retired now. But I remember as a kid hearing that word. I don't know what that word meant, but what a brilliant idea that was put into my mind. Thank you, Dad. When he came home one day and he opened we moved to Florida. He got his own, more or less, long story short, got his own business. And he's like, I'm an entrepreneur. He said, I'm the president of my company. If my dad, I think he's here now. I remember when he told me he's the president, just he was a sole proprietor, just his own company. It was just him at one point. But anyway, I got that in my head. You can be the president of your own company and be an entrepreneur. And I'm the president of my own company as an entrepreneur. If you don't program that kind of thing in, then you could be, and we'll get to number 7, the teaching 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. That comes from a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's fiction, but it's written back in the time of the Babylonian days, whatever that was. And they talk about a slave mentality or a free man, woman mentality. Are you working for somebody else? Because in a sense, you're just making someone else rich. Right? If you work for others, you have a boss, maybe the manager, but the person who owns the company is getting rich. You might be going paycheck to paycheck. But we have to be willing to step outside of that umbrella of the boss or the corporation. Obviously, you can make a lot of money on the corporate change, but here's a nice teaching. I think it comes from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. You are better off owning the corporate ladder than being on the corporate ladder. Once I heard that, that was it. And by the way, if you don't know, I mentioned, most likely I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but when my father started his own business, most likely it was a sole proprietorship, right? You work for you and your social security number is what everything gets run through. That's not a great way to run your business. I'm sure eventually my dad incorporated his business. You want to really learn about incorporating or setting up an LLC. They're pretty much the same. There's some differences. You could talk to an accountant or attorney about it. But if you're in private practice and you're making some decent money, you don't want all of that going through your social security number. That's a sole proprietor. You start setting up corporations, and with corporations and proper investing into IRAs, you can pay exceptional little taxes. It's part of how the rich get rich, is they're really not paying a whole lot of taxes. It's not illegal at all. It's just learning about money and how money works. So again, this is developing financial intelligence, but giving you a bunch of principles, but we're going to stay on track here. So number 4, sniff out the secondary gains. And if you have a problem with the idea of being an entrepreneur, being the president of your own company, of your own corporation or LLC, limited liability company, really consider changing that programming, because you might be programmed with the slave mentality instead of the free person mentality. Number 5, you'll never let yourself be what you resent. This is an early prosperity principle that I heard about. You can figure this out with the STEM sentence completion. I think rich people are. Be honest with yourself and trust your first impressions. I think rich people are. Do that 5 to 7 times. And usually what you hear in most people is, I think rich people are snobs. Rich people are arrogant. Rich people are stuck up. Rich people don't care about others. You'll never let yourself be what you resent. You'll never let yourself be someone with a lot of money because you don't like those people. The other one you can do is, I think money is dirty, right? How many of you thought that right away? Money is dirty, money is bad, money is shameful, money is hard for me to get, money is hard to keep, money comes and goes. Every time I have money, it goes away. Find out what are your beliefs and thoughts about money. And then once you write down these negative statements about, I think rich people are, I think money is, reprogram that. So what we're going to do is suggestion here. I allow myself to be wonderfully financially free or successful. Again, once I get in the programming mode, I'll make it more eloquent, hopefully. But that's the whole idea, is you're allowing yourself to be somebody who makes a lot of money. The wealthiest people I know are some of the most philanthropic people I know. I won't go into too many details, but I can tell you one fun little story. One of our students had somebody that she knew who is literally a billionaire. He flew one of his 3 Lear jets to pick me up, flew me to his palatial kind of mansion. He had properties all over the country, yachts and boats and whatever. And yeah, he paid me like $10,000 to come to his house and to do hypnotherapy on him. And it was really fun. But while I was there, the local town had some kind of flood or something. And he was the philanthropist who helped to support the townspeople. So having a lot of money, and he has, I won't say much about him for total confidentiality, but he lots of like toys and fun things around his huge property. And I thought, all right, maybe he's like really not that happy or not enjoying his life. I said, when was the last time you were playing on that? He's like, oh, just last week. The guy was like loving his life. My very good friend I mentioned to you, who retired very young, he's very happy and giving more money away to others than honestly most of us probably do. So think about, even though spiritually minded people might have this thing about, oh, I'm not so into money, money's greedy. How much money do you give away to charity? If you don't have it, you can't give it. All right, so the best thing you can do, here's a good quote. Oh, here's what we use for one of these. I think it's the secondary gain idea. My prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. Okay, so that's a huge principle. My prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. All right, COVID-19 and everything going on now, like, have you been able to donate money to help some charity? If you don't have it, you can't give it. And to say that, and again, I'm not saying any one person here, but I hear this a lot, to say, oh, but I'm so spiritual, I'm not really into money. How many people have you helped, right? When you have it, you can give it away. And one of the laws of financial success is the law of giving and receiving. The more you give, the more comes back to you. And again, I have lots of very wealthy role models, and I just see how much they give, and then their wealth just keeps increasing. So it's true. The rich do get richer, but not because they're bad people, but because, so what's the difference between a rich person and a poor person? Rich people think about how much money they have and how their wealth just keeps growing. That's the foundation of the thinking. Poor people think about how much money they don't have and how their income just keeps getting, whatever, just struggling. So the quote is, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class struggle in debt. So why not start to program yourself to be in the wealthy category? And wealthy doesn't have to mean multi-millions of dollars. If you really do some calculations, you don't need a whole lot of money for this FIRE movement. I hope you guys, if you're interested, will do some. There's tons of YouTube videos now on the FIRE movement. These people were smart enough to stop and say, how much money do I need to make? I have because I'm into paragliding, I have a nice travel trailer, and as I mentioned, so I've driven all around the country paragliding, like all over the 50 states. And I meet a lot of people who, well, actually very few people who can do that, who are financially free enough to just be anywhere and do whatever they want, whenever they want. But a lot of people in the trailer RV kind of movement, they find a way to like get a $10,000 travel trailer RV, a little Volkswagen bus or a Sprinter van or whatever. A lot of paragliders use Sprinter vans. You can get them for $5,000, $10,000. You can furnish the inside, and then you don't need a whole lot of money to live and to be really free. So when I say wealth, to me, it doesn't have to be multi-millions of dollars. Here's one of my life principles. This is in our Life Mastery course, these teachings. One of my life principles is simplicity. And what's in that is, the exact statement is, I live simply and well below my means. I was spending a bunch of money traveling before COVID kicked in, to be honest. Not too much, but a few thousand extra a month to fly wherever I want and paraglide anywhere in the world. But not a whole lot of money. But now that I stopped that for now, and I'm pretty much just sitting home teaching and sharing, what I do. It's really wonderful to be like, wow, my home is very inexpensive. The point is, my overall expenses are very low, and my income is significantly more than that. That to me is financial freedom. And what we can talk about, maybe we'll just put as a programming here, I create multiple, prosperous, automated, this is the real keyword, automated income streams. We'll talk about this in our list of 22 items, multiple prosperous income streams. But in this day and age, you can automate almost everything. So the idea in high-level prosperity programming is not to trade your time for money. If you work at a, let's say, minimum wage job, I don't know how much that is, it's different states, I guess, but let's say you're getting, $14 an hour or something, you're trading your time for money. Again, you're making someone else rich, you're doing the just over broke thing, and anybody who's in that situation, or, making more than that, but let's just say, that's not a great place to be financially, especially if you're an adult, and you're just, making enough just to get by. Any one of those people at any moment could start hypnotic programming to increase their wealth. And it doesn't matter, even if you only make $25,000 a year, after 10 years, that's $250,000. Where did that money go? And that leads to the points that are coming up. We'll get to that. That kind of turns to 7 and 8. But let's cover everything on here, at least briefly. So we talked about 5. Let's talk about number 6. And then I'll get back to this multiple prosperous income streams and automated. But the quick point there is this day and age with the internet, you can automate a lot of things. But even hypnotherapists, you can't really automate you because you have to be there to see your clients in person or online, as the case is becoming more and more. You can see clients online, but you still need to be there. So how do you turn that? Because that you can do a healthy 6-figure income, you can do $100,000 per year seeing clients, but how do you turn that into $250,000 a year, $500,000 per year? You actually can't by just seeing clients unless you start charging, $1,000 a session, but you can't really do that. So I'll give you some tips about how to turn the $100,000 a year into a lot more, which is coming up. Number 6, this is not really in the flow of things, but let's cover it. Take massive action, or the idea of guerrilla marketing. There's a book and lots of other supplemental kind of stuff about guerrilla marketing. Just Google it, YouTube. And the idea is sorry for this word because Trump is using it for how to handle the protesters, which, sorry. But the word is to dominate the market. And he's talking about dominating all the protesters. So sorry for that word. But anyway, to dominate the market, your presence should be everywhere. When I was a hypnotherapist in Gainesville, Florida, I was advertising in every possible spot you can imagine: radio, lectures, classes, magazines, print articles, flyers around town, newspapers, television spots. I mean, I was everywhere. I would go into a restaurant, people like, "You're that hypnosis guy." And I love when people are like, "I felt like God was just sending me to you because I just felt like I just kept seeing you everywhere." I'm like, yeah, it's probably God. And also, I advertise a lot. You want to kind of dominate your competition. Now, that's not a great model in hypnotherapy because there's no competition. We're all doing our part. We're all being of service. And if you understand a lot of online marketing, let's say 100 people see an ad of yours. About 3 to 5% or so will click on that ad and take some kind of action. The other 97% are going to go to your, quote, competitors, meaning the other people who are out there being of service as well. There really is no competition, but the point is, if you're not on the first page of Google, which is kind of like dominating the competition, if you're not, when I went there back in the day of the phone book, if you remember that thing, there would be a few hypnotherapists in a given city I was in, and they'd have these tiny little ads. I do this big dollar bill size ad with my picture, with color, and the phone would ring once or twice a day just from my phone book ads. Now the modern phone book, of course, is the internet, and you can position your website to where you're easily getting 1 or 2 phone calls a day. That's enough. 1 or 2 phone calls a day can easily turn into a full-time practice. And I can teach you. I teach our students how to do that. Now that can make you $100,000 per year. Now, if you apply these principles we're about to get into, you can turn that into some significant wealth. And it's really about programming. So um, I'll give you like kind of an example from me. Once I got to the 100,000 per year mark, I really started, and I was already doing this programming, of course, but I really decided I'm going to exponentially start to grow this. And I had to open my mind to other lucrative income streams. But how do you develop those? So number 6 is just, we're going to move past number 6. I want to get to 7 and 8. So number 6 is, don't just do a little bit. Go, the way I teach advertising is go psycho when you're advertising. And don't be afraid to reinvest your money in yourself and your advertising, because that's how we give back, right? I advertise the school and what I do to let other people know about it so they can benefit from it. So to me, advertising is being of service to the community, to the world. It's not just so I can make more money, right? The more people I help, obviously the more money I make, but the people come first. All right, number 7, 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. This comes from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It should be on YouTube as a free audiobook. The teaching that I would encourage you to pull from, I think the main teaching is exactly that. 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. But what does that mean? What do you do with that? If you think about that checking to savings account model, let's say you're a hypnotherapist, you're making $2,000 a week. Aside from other savings, take and have it to automatically dump it into another savings account. 10% of everything you make each week dumps into that. Honestly, almost every time, not every time, but pretty much like virtually almost every time, 90% of the time when money comes in each day, I take a percentage, usually it's about 30%, and I dump it back into savings or investment accounts. And we'll get to that with number 8. But number 7, so you're making 100,000 per year, let's say 2,000 a week, whatever. Automatically have $400 of that each week go into your 10% account. It's not necessarily a long-term savings account. The 10% in your savings, so let's say now 400 a week became 1,600, now there's 3,200, next thing you know, you've got over like $5,000 sitting there. So that account is a reinvest in yourself account. Now, what can you do to turn that 5,000, or if you want to wait a little bit more, build it up to 20,000, what can you do with $20,000 that was earmarked to create another income stream? I had a good friend of mine who was working for a really big company, and he had like $20,000 in kind of dividend money. So he had like 20,000 extra dollars. And he said, Matthew, what do you think I should do with it? And I said, start a business. And he goes, no, he's like, what kind of investments? I'm like, what? So you can get 5, 10, 12% return on your investment? That's great. But for those who are entrepreneurs, if you can take $20,000 and turn it into a second $100,000 per year income, aside from your primary income, your hypnotherapy practice is making $100,000 per year, or whatever your primary income is. But now, so like I said, if you're making $25,000 a year, over 10 years, that's $250,000. Where did all that money go? If you don't save 10% of that to reinvest in wealth building, you're missing the biggest principle of wealth building. 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. So if you make $100, you must, and teach your kids this, for God's sakes. I tried to do this with my nieces, but they were appalled. I gave them, I gave them some money, and I said, it'd be a good idea to take 10% of this and save it. They're like, what, are you kidding? No way, right? Most people just don't get programmed with that. 10% of all I earn is mine to keep, to reinvest in another income stream when you're ready. And while that wealth is building, while that bank account's getting bigger, be thinking about, what can I do with that money, and how much money do I need to do the next thing? That's what I did once I got to the 100,000 per year mark. I was ready to open a big holistic health center and restaurant with a bunch of people that I had known. And I chose to go in a different direction. But the point is, I was like, all right, how can I turn this into $1 million per year? And I couldn't do it, obviously, in just my private hypnotherapy practice. But this one principle is the way to do it. It's one way to do it, but it's an effective way to do it for sure. So now you get 20,000 sitting there. Instead of dumping that into something that might get you 10% return on the investment with volatility and risk, why not invest in you or another income stream? The teaching, which we have below now, is I create multiple prosperous automated income streams. I would encourage you to work for 7 sources of revenue that make you money whether you work or not. And with this day and age with the internet, they can all be, for the most part, they can all be automated. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss was a big part of that. He was doing $70,000 per month. And then he said, this is all the money I need. I'm going to delegate. I'm going to automate a lot of things. And I'm going to pretty much semi-retire. He didn't stop working and publishing books and teaching and loving his life, helping others. But he got to the point of financial freedom. So my company was doing significant amounts of money, kind of like that. I just said to one of my employees, can I just pay you to do what I do? I learned over the years that was giving too much to one person. Pretty much now I divide that up amongst 2 or 3 people because everybody needs to be replaceable. I learned a lot of my lesson from that. But the point is, you can automate virtually anything, but you can't duplicate yourself very well when you're trading your time for money. And a hypnotherapist, excuse me, the hypnotherapist pretty much does trade time for money. You sit down with a client, they pay you $150 a session or whatever. That's pretty much the most you can make for that. I do teach you guys in our training to up the sale so that, I used to sell my clients CDs. So they might pay, let's just say 100 per session, but then they'll buy a CD for another 20 bucks. And that was actually some nice extra income. $20 10 times per week is another 200 per week, another 800 per month. That's when I bought my first Jaguar, to be able to afford the car payment on a high-end luxury car. That was really nice, reward for myself to be like, wow, I took my money from hypnotherapy, I created another income stream, and that just bought my luxury car. But not, you don't even want to spend 100% of the second income stream on some luxury item. Be sure you're taking 10% at least of that other income stream to create another. So 7 lucrative income streams that run whether you're working or not. Right now, I actually have 21 different sources of income. And it's beautiful because like with COVID-19, a lot of people have been devastated by this. Yet, like money isn't coming in from one stream for one reason or another. You just start to put more energy into the other streams. And the other streams were making money anyway, ideally. Okay, so that's that principle. We don't have time to elaborate more on it, but study it and practice it. 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. Number 8, turn income into assets. It's important to understand the difference, and the best teaching I found on this is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Is very good teachings and even a game you can play to understand it. Income, let's just speak as a hypnotherapist, is what you're making from your clients. In a sense, your hypnotherapy practice is an asset, but it's really your income. You want to take that money, which is what the 10% is all about, and create other assets, right? So what I did was I founded my little company, Silent Light Publishers. And like I said, I was taking my hypnotherapy income. I developed a whole product line. At the time, I was printing CDs. I had this whole company. They were just producing like massive amounts of CDs. And I was selling them left and right. And it was doing more than the 800 a month that I had mentioned to you. But that's the point. That other company became an asset. So it's important to understand what assets are. Assets are things, whatever it is, that puts money in your pockets. Your home, a lot of people think is an asset. Your home is actually a liability. Unless you're renting it out on, Airbnb. Unless you're making money in your home, then it's a liability. It doesn't put money in your pocket. It's actually an expense or a liability. Assets put money in your pocket. So if you reinvest that, let's say in the stock market, where you could probably expect to get, if you know what you're doing, like 10, 12% or more return, then why not, when your $100 comes in, take 10%, and if you know how to invest, put it in the stock market. Now those stocks have become an asset, right? So that $100 you just put in there, I've had my parents start a little investing, and their $1,000, the one they decided to play with, turned into, they made $100, like within a month. There was a 10% return on that investment. So now it's $1,100. So consider when you're putting that 10% into a savings account, most bank savings account now are giving you like 0.02% interest, but investing it in a responsible way, can yield a 10+% return on that investment. That is an asset. So it's learning to let your money make more money. Let's put that in our programming. I allow my money to make me more money. When you advertise, you're taking your money. So and by the way, in like private practice or most businesses, a good advertising budget is 10% of your gross income. All right, so if you're making $10,000 per month, $1,000 of that could very well, unless you don't need to, but $1,000 of that can be dumped back into advertising. That would be a healthy budget. So let's just say I spend more than that, honestly, but let's say 10, let's say I put in $1,000 for advertising. That can be considered an asset. My money has gone on a mission to make me more money. I send out all these Facebook ads and they get out there in front of all these people, and then those people come back to me tenfold, right? So the $1,000 became 10,000 in return on investment. Right, 10% of all earnest mine to keep, and then every dollar I spend comes back to me tenfold. Allow your money to make you more money. Send your money on missions. Okay, so we're getting close to programming time to program all this in. Those principles are worth a lot of education, so study the things I'm recommending. Then, number 9, proper goal setting. We're kind of limited on time. Let me just say, for a hypnotherapist, in case you're not doing this or if you're in anything like this, a basic good goal would be something like, on or before a certain date, I make this much money or more. Consider, we can write that down, I'll say it again. On or before this date. So let's say you're graduating hypnotherapy school now and you're ready to start your private practice. Give yourself 2 or 3 months. It's up to you, but usually not putting too long of a time frame can be helpful because it forces you to take action. Remember our number 6, take massive action. So you might say something like, on or before, which is like the word by August 1st, 2020, so I'm giving you a little less than 2 months, just a way to get a sense to wrap your head around this. On or before this date, I make this much money or more. But with private clients, as one of you asked in the chat pod, don't program in just the money. Program in how many clients you're going to see. On or before August 1st, 2020, and always be sure to put the year, just in case. On or before, because that'll be like 2021 or whatever. On or before August 1st, 2020, I see 25 full-paying clients per week, or 15 full-paying clients per week. Be sure you put full-paying, because a lot of you guys will give your sessions away for free to be nice and because you're scared people won't pay you. So you put full-paying clients. On or before this date, I make this much or more. That's just a brief example of how to structure a suggestion for the sake of time. Number 10 is just a nice prosperity quote that we're going to program in. I make money, I make large amounts of money, I create great wealth. And don't let wealth have to be, billionaire, multimillionaire. Just what does wealth mean for you? But remember, not what does wealth mean for your inner child, but what does wealth mean for your financially independent, financially free lifestyle. And then this one is, did we get this? So let's put in this prosperity quote. I now do what I need to do to succeed. We'll program this into tonight. The reason this one is so important is we're going, this type of work will push you beyond your current limits. And I remember when I was starting my hypnotherapy practice, and I was also really working on success in all aspects of my life. Spiritual, physical fitness, finances mostly. So I'd wake up at 6 in the morning and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed and meditate for an hour. No, I don't want to go to the gym for an hour. And I don't want to have to see 5 clients today. That's what my day was like for many years. And I would just wake up in the morning and that programming would kick in. I now do what I need to do to succeed. And I was like, all right. And I get out of bed with self-discipline. That's the key word here, self-discipline. And that would force me to get on the meditation cushion. I was leading a group of meditators at the time on a meditation system stuff. So we meditated for an hour together. I'd force myself to get up and lead the community. And then I'd force myself to go to the gym for an hour. and then I would see 5 clients a day. I mean, I burned out, but the point is, when you have these goals, program in. I now do what I need to do to succeed. If you're afraid of public speaking, and I go, I'm going to be nervous getting in front of the group, I now do what I need to do to succeed. Courage is the ability to feel fear, but to act anyway. So to act anyway, even though you feel fear, that one thing you can program in is very powerful. Next, my creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. That's just a good programming suggestion that we'll put in there. My creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. You need to, I don't say you need to, but if you want to be really successful, let's try that. I have this in number 19, being an entrepreneur, which I mentioned, being your own boss, and thinking outside the box, a yes, I can attitude. Robert Kiyosaki makes a good point about, don't ever say, I can't afford it. Say, how can I find ways to afford it, right? It's like, I don't money to start my business. Well, start Googling ways to build capital in the early days, right? So if you're a woman starting a business, like hypnotherapy, Google women's business startup funding. There are companies that help you to get very low interest, or sometimes like not even having to pay back the loan, money to build a business. There are ways, always ways to succeed. I'm not encouraging going into debt, but when I was opening our hypnotherapy school, and I was, I pushed that to the limit of all my finances to make that happen. And then I realized, oh God, I've got to provide books to these students. It wasn't online. I had to hand them physical books. And that was $5,000 to buy the books to resell to them. But it was then I was like, oh, I'm going to have to use debt to do that because I used all my other expenses. But I took out a $5,000 loan, bought the books, sold it to them, made another 50% on it. So paid back the loan right away, pocketed another $5,000. So responsible use of debt. But the point is, find ways to make it happen. Yes, I can. Instead of, oh no, I can't. Like, you never with this kind of thing want to say I can't, or there's not enough, or there's not a way. That's how poor people think. So find a way. There's always a way. That ties into the law of intention and desire. If you intend to do something and you want to do it, the universe has a way to make it happen. Multiple prosperous income streams we talked about for number 13. I just encourage you to develop 7 of those. And then once you do, it just becomes fun. A good thing to research to be able to do that and to make them automated is research sales funnels. A sales funnel. What happens on the internet is X number of people, this is the big end of the funnel, will see your ad. So many people will click on that ad, that many people will be on your website. Then that many people will take action from your website. That many people, and right, it'll eventually come down to they become a customer. Once you know, and then once they're in the funnel, you can sell them on other things. So once you know how to make a funnel, you can direct people into it, and that model works for virtually anything. Right, so again, just learn the general principles of sales funnels. Another very good principle that's worth understanding is the loss leader principle. Give something away knowing they can get a good return on the investment for it. So I'll give you an example. I'm not sure quite what I'll do with it, but I'm very aware of what I can do with it. The Anahat meditation system, I'm on monastery.com. I'm totally giving away for free. And as I teach it to about, whatever, there's a lot of students going through it right now, as I teach it to all of them for free. I'll never ask them for any money. But now once all those videos are made, now I can go and sell those if I want to. I'll decide what to do with that. If anything, the money that comes in from that will go back into promoting those teachings because I don't really care about making money on it. But again, why not? And the more money I make, the more I can advertise, the more I can let people know about it. So largely that money will go back into advertising to let everybody know that this thing exists. The lost leader idea is to find things to give away to your clients or customers so that you can get a bigger return on the investment later. I would just say research it for the sake of time, but it's a good thing to get in your head for prosperity programming. Quickly in each of these, and then we'll get into actual programming. Number 14, misplaced passion. Watch yourself as you're going through your day and notice where you're putting your time, energy, and or money. When you want to succeed in something, you can invest 3 things: time, energy, and or money. If your time and energy and or money is going into things that don't really build your wealth, you might want to ask, why am I doing this, right? If you're really into, like me, I'm really into paragliding, and I'm financially free, so I can enjoy my hobby. But a lot of my paragliding buddies, we're all obsessed by, we call it air crack, like being flying up in the clouds without a motor and without a tin can around you, an airplane is phenomenal. It's not safe, so I'm not recommending it to you guys, but just to use this example, paragliders are addicts. We really just get addicted to being up in the air like that. And they do that so much that they're living out of their vans. A lot of them are homeless. They don't have homes. They live out of their vans and they just fly every day they can. That's great. That's fine. But if they want to build wealth, then there's a conflict. Part of them is putting too much time, energy, and money into something that does not make you money. Very few people ever make a lot of money in the paragliding field, obviously. And you might find this person really wants to have a lucrative, financial, safe, secure future. And then it's really learning how to direct that energy differently, or to balance it. So I just want to bring the topic to your awareness so you can see maybe you have misplaced passion. Maybe you're putting too much time, energy, or money into something that isn't bringing you wealth. The idea of delayed gratification is not something the subconscious mind likes. The inner child does not like delayed gratification. It wants to feel good now. It wants to be comfortable and feel pleasure and be happy now. And it's going to move you away from pain first and then let you feel pleasure. So when you think about, I'm going to have to feel some pain for a year or two. Again, my friend who became a multimillionaire at 27 years old, he worked like nonstop, 100 hours a week from 21 to 27. He almost died. He ended up in the hospital. So I'm not saying it's the only path to riches, but he was willing to have delayed gratification for a complete life of financial freedom. He had enough money when he retired that he had like $10 million when he retired. Not gloriously wealthy, but $10 million put into municipal bonds at only like a 5% return on the 5% interest. He can live on that for the rest of his life. So the point is, delayed gratification. Be willing to what seems like a sacrifice of time, energy, money to take that passion, direct it into income streams, and then get to spend the rest of your life financially free. And a beautiful principle, I don't know if we can put it in programming because it's a negative statement, but let me say it. The idea, the feeling, it's a feeling actually. It's an idea that leads to a feeling. I never have to worry about money. To never have to worry about money. If you're losing sleep over money, it doesn't have to be that way. And you want to feel it before you experience it. This leads to somewhat of that idea. My feelings of prosperity precede my demonstration of, spelling is all wrong here, but doesn't matter. Well, this is a video, so let's spell check, clean that up for us. What's that word? Proceed, right? There you go. My feelings of prosperity precede my demonstration of prosperity, come before. So if I feel prosperous first, law of attraction, which we're not talking about that because that's kind of like the spiritual approach to all this. I'm trying to be a lot more down to earth of how do the truly wealthy people think. They're not just visualizing $100 bills. But if you feel, and just start saying in your mind, I never have to worry about money again. I never have to worry about money again. The money is, here's the quote is, the money, oh yeah, this is what I used to say. The money is always there in abundance. That programming is priceless, literally, because once that feeling is there and that becomes your base standard, right? Like I said, minimum 5,000, minimum 10,000 in the bank, whatever your minimum is, never let yourself go below that. Because once you get close to it, your programming kicks in and creates more income, because you can create more income. You're not a victim at all. Right? Nobody's a victim. You might feel like a victim, you might feel like you've been victimized, but the truth is at any moment you could start hypnotic prosperity programming and get in your mind. My feelings of prosperity precede my demonstration of prosperity. I'm going to feel prosperous first, not just because it's going to attract wealth to me, because you can't just sit in meditation and think all the money will come to you. it causes you to take different actions once you make that your standard, right? So my standard is I always have enough money. I never have to worry about money. Because that programming is there, I'll never let myself get even close to that point. As soon as COVID kicked in, that programming immediately made me be sure to look at all 21 income streams, restructure whatever I needed to ensure I still never have to worry about money again. All right, so that's my gift to you, that idea. Let's finish up the list, and then I will gift you with the programming session. 15, again, we'll go through this very quick now. Lack of clarity of intent. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it? So be very clear on what you want. Just saying, I make a lot of money is way too general. I'm really wealthy. That kind of thinking doesn't work. So be very clear on what you want. Number 16, lack of healthy priorities. And we don't have time to go into this. We do this in my Life Mastery course. Those teachings are available in our Conscious Community Archive classes. The idea is clarity of intent, healthy priorities. Get clear on what are your priorities, and you do that by life categories. So I'll list mine in order, but again, most people's are not in order. Then I'll give you the basic teaching. Spirituality is my highest priority, to experience that in myself and to teach that, to disseminate that kind of knowledge and wisdom. 2, mental, emotional health, and 3, physical health. Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. That's you. All right, you are the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical being. You must prioritize you because you are your greatest asset. You are your product. You are the one who's going to generate wealth for you, or you're not. Right? Trying to win the lottery or getting a raise are not the best ways to generate wealth. There's lots of funny stories about that. But being an entrepreneur, owning the corporate ladder, making yourself financially free. So you prioritize you as your greatest asset. So you invest in hypnotic programming, you invest in subliminal programming, you do neurolinguistic programming, you meditate, you exercise, you eat healthy. In the Anahat meditation system, we talk a lot, we will start talking next week, a lot about sexual energy. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill's classic book, they talk about conserving sexual energy. So not wasting your energy. And again, it's a big topic, but you being as powerful and together and healthy as you can be is your greatest asset. Then next, right after that, career and finances. Not even your family. I know that seems so backwards, but how do you provide for your kids if you don't make money? The biggest reason for divorce is lack of money, financial stress. If you're the healthy pillar in society and you're making really good money, you're much better off for your family. So actually, and how much time do you spend with your kids? Probably not 40 to 60 hours a week, but that's how much time you spend in your career. That's okay, right? So, eventually you won't have to work that much. You can spend more time with your kids. That's kind of the whole point. Eventually, you can reprioritize the list. But when you're working to build wealth, those are the top 4 priorities I would recommend. Spirituality, first and foremost. And we don't have time to go into that, but there's a lot of good reasons for that. Mental, emotional health. If you're depressed and anxious, you don't go very far. So get your mind and emotions in a good place. Your physical health, for all the reasons obvious. And then prioritize your career and finances. And then your relationships pretty much come next. You don't have to do that, but that's that teaching. And then developing financial intelligence. We talked about your adult sense of self studies the wealth building materials. They're all out there. Everything you need to know about investing and marketing, it's all on YouTube. It's totally there for free now. The problem with affirmations, real quick, you don't want to just be saying things like, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire. It doesn't work because your subconscious knows you're lying to yourself. You know you're lying to yourself. Affirmations aren't the way to build wealth. What we're writing below, and I didn't really go through those precisely, but when I'm delivering those in the programming, you'll notice I'm going to make them suggestions. And usually that means incremental, more and more. Now, again, we're doing this off the cuff, so it's not highly refined. So I might not always say those exactly following the rules of good suggestion therapy, but those of you who are in our school, be sure, go through that material course, HT 108, effective suggestion delivery, and be sure you're doing more suggestion therapy than affirmations. You can affirm things when they're already there, right? If you already have a lot of money, you can say, I enjoy my wealth. It continues to grow. But if that's not the case for you, saying that, you know it's just not true. But you could say, every day in every way, my finances continue to grow into abundance. That's incremental and believable. So that's the basic rule of suggestion therapy. Make the suggestions incremental and believable, and ideally something that makes you take action, not just, I am a multimillionaire. That doesn't make you take action. I now do what I need to do to succeed based on your goals. That'll cause you to take action. Really good words for that are words like motivated, determined, enthusiastic, passionate. It's not an intellectual thing for the subconscious to get motivated to make something happen, like something big. And I hope those of you who are still here, which is the majority of people who signed in, take massive action, get excited about this. Like, I'm going to do it just for fun. What the hey, let me just challenge myself. Let me just see if I can do it. Why not? Let me set a goal to make $1 million per year. Like just for fun. See if you can raise your financial intelligence, self-esteem to do it. One thought I will give you about why I love this whole money theme. I live in the mountains. I have a beautiful home up here at 5,000 feet. It's been a windy today. Yesterday it was all covered in clouds. This is awesome. I love my life and I don't want it to change, right? And when COVID hit and all these people are unemployed, and I feel for them, I'm sorry, but I'm setting myself up for significant asset protection. I like my comfortable life. I don't need $1 million a year to live my very simple, comfortable monk. I'm like a monk paraglider. I don't need a lot of money. I can travel the world on $3,000 a month and fly the most glorious mountain ranges and sit in my home in the mountains and bliss out all the time. That's all I need. But why not have a lot of money so that you can sleep at night knowing there's like very little chance that anything could change your lifestyle. And that's, to me, a lot of what it comes down to. It's more just a game because I don't need multi-millions of dollars, but I'm happy to keep letting all that come in because why not? And again, you have more to give away when it's there. So get passionate about it, but have the right reasons to do so. Again, not money, but lifestyle, right? And the safety and security of even the most basic lifestyle where you know you're good pretty much no matter what. All right, last closing thoughts on this list. Number 20, there's a nice TED talk, I forget who did it, about the difference between why and how. It's become quite well known. How you make money isn't as important as why you're making money. What is the mission statement of you? I call that your core mission statement, or the mission statement of your company. So like Anahata Education Group is my core primary corporation. But then I have all these other subsidiaries, DVAs, or just other companies, Silent Light Publishers, Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy, International Association of Interpersonal Hypnotherapists. So again, there's like 21 different sources of income that keep filling my bank accounts all the time. The why of that is to be of service to others. Not because I want 21 income streams, because I have 21 valuable products, services, solutions to give away, right? So especially with COVID, I decided to be nice and start seeing more clients. And so as I'm helping a lot of people, which really, I'm honored to do, to be able to heal now through one-on-one sessions, the why is because I want to help people. The why of every product and service and solution I offer is to be of service. So why are you doing it is really important, because somebody asked in the chat pod, like kind of the initial statement, why would money motivate me? It doesn't. Be of service to others is what motivates. And then how you'll do that should be, and this goes to number 21, something called dharma, dharmic. Dharma is your purpose, your mission, but don't mistake dharma for a job or even a career. Dharma is more general than that, and I could give a 2-hour talk about it, but what I'll say is, in closing, dharma is what you're inspired to do, passionate to do, and it will be of service to others. Your dharma is always somehow connected to others. So this ties into what's in there in 21. One of the major principles for building wealth is find a need and fill it. one of my books, which is an income stream, is called Peace Under All Circumstances. COVID-19 hits, there's a need for peace. So I put my audiobook, Peace Under All Circumstances, on YouTube. I promote myself even more in the spiritual teacher realm, and more people are buying my Peace Under All Circumstances book. Right? Find a need and fill it. People are stressed. They need hypnotherapy. We can't do it in our offices right now. Some of you are, which is great. But you can do it on Zoom. So now you can market yourself on the internet and get in front of people and do Zoom sessions. Find a need and fill it. But the point about it being dharmic is not just to rack your brain for what do people need, like they need a better toothpaste cap or something. Like, who cares? Let Colgate do that, right? You have a purpose of why you're on earth, and nobody can do what you can do. This is why there's no competition, because I never research competition. I never look at anyone out there who's teaching hypnotherapy or any meditation or any of that. I just do me. I just be the best me that I could be, promote who I am through my products, and the money keeps coming in. And it's really amazing to grow. Like, people just buying product. We have people like India and somebody just all over the country and all over the world are just tapping into the stuff that I'm disseminating. And I'm just honoring the principle, doing my dharma, finding a need, but not even finding it, like just knowing I have something to give that no one else can give. That whole Anahat meditation system, onlinemonastery.com, that comes through me. No one else teaches that. My point is, not because this isn't about me, you guys have that too, right? Everybody has something unique to give, and that's your dharma. Your dharma isn't a job or even a career path. Your dharma is something very special, and not just one thing, but maybe that one major thing can be diversified into a lot of interesting income streams. Somebody said, with hypnotherapy and COVID, I've been very busy. The focus has just shifted a bit. The Zoom has been wonderful. By the way, Zoom stock, it went from $118 a share. Right now it's up above $200 a share. So it's not quite too late, but it was a lot lower a month ago. Anyway, yeah, buy stock in Zoom. No, that's friendly, educational topic advice, not financial advice. All right, the Zoom has been very wonderful. She said, prosperity and focus on rebuilding their businesses have been quite the request. Nice. It's been wonderful to still be able to be of service. Yeah, thank you. Right on. All right, we don't have too much time. In fact, we're going to run over a little bit, which tends to be my thing these days. And then we talked about number 22, the FIRE movement. So again, financially independent, retire early. Doesn't mean you'll do that. Again, I like the semi-retirement model. People always, whenever I'm paragliding all over the place, they always ask me, because everybody sees me out there like every day. We're like, how are you able to do this every single day? And I'm like, I semi-retired at 41 years old. Again, I'm 47 now. I just want to give you that idea that you can still be very much of service to the world. You can help a lot of people. You can create beautiful teams and community. And you can do it in about 4 hours per week. You don't have to. You work really hard for a while. But if you have the idea of automating and delegating, here's another principle. Because we have a lot of team members who work with me, employees and subcontractors. And the principle is intelligent people hire people more intelligent than they are. I'll say it again, I'm not going to put it in the programming because you don't have to abide by it. So it's just another gift to you guys. Intelligent people hire people more intelligent than they are. I'm a good hypnotherapy teacher, but the directors of our locations in many ways are better. So I'm like, wow, you're an amazing teacher. I'll pay you to do it. And then it's a beautiful give and receive win-win situation. I'm a good salesperson, but our admissions person who answers the phone for our school is far better than me. So I'm happy to pay her to do that. Our student services director, amazing person. So I pay her to do that. You can, all right, so there's just so many ways to delegate and automate as long as you put that programming in your head that you can do it. My bookkeeper, my accountant, attorneys we use, they're all better than me in their jobs. There's no reason why you have to do everything, and that's part of the 10% of all I earn is mine to keep. at first, like, God, I couldn't afford a bookkeeper, an accountant. I couldn't have attorneys on retainer. I couldn't have a salesperson. I couldn't have a student services person. I couldn't have a full-time marketing team. Like, we have all this now for my corporations. And that came from these simple principles. 10% of all earn is mine to keep. And then I take the 10%, I pay a salesperson, and next thing you know, my income triples. Right? So just very basic principles that can grow into significant wealth. Okay, any questions you're sharing before I start our hypnotic programming? All right, if you got them, feel free to ask them after. Let's go into, we're gonna do just very basic hypnosis, nothing too fancy. And then I'll program in all the prosperity principles there. I don't know where the recording will end up, but those of you who know my email, feel free to email me and I can get you a copy of this recording we're gonna make now. Thank you, sunshine. All right, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna shut the camera. I'm gonna stop sharing. Stop the camera. Feel free to close your eyes and just get comfy. This will be about 20 minutes or so. Oh, we'll do a nice little visualization about your future success in this one. All right, so in a moment I will click record and we'll begin. Take this moment to settle in, to set very clear intentions, to use the power of your mind to create ever more success, abundance, and prosperity in your life for all aspects of your life. To prioritize yourself, your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical well-being, and your career and finances to create multiple, prosperous, automated income streams that allow you to be financially free for the rest of your long, healthy life. To begin, you can allow your eyes to open and roll your eyes up high. Find one point, one spot on the ceiling perhaps, where you can fixate all of your gaze. Stare at this one spot. Focus here as if nothing else matters. Single pointed awareness. Take a slow, easy breath in now and fill your lungs full of air while focusing on that point. Exhale and think to yourself, relax. Once again, breathe in, focusing on that point. And exhale, think to yourself, relax. And then one more time, breathing in, focusing on that spot. Exhale, think, relax as you breathe normally. And I will count backwards from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you let your eyes close down heavy. And you begin the process of turning loose and going deep within. And number 5, being right here now in this moment. 4, release the past. Forget about the future. 3, gathering all your energy here now. And number 2, breathing in again, filling your lungs. And on number 1, exhale, letting your eyes close down. Turn loose. And let go and feel how good it feels to have your eyes comfortably closed. To let your body melt into the surface that you're resting upon. Notice where you're touching the surface beneath you. Notice where your feet are touching. Notice what's not touching. And then start to notice the growing sense of relaxation that occurs with every easy breath that you breathe. And you can hear the sounds around you. You can hear sounds perhaps in the room or outside of the room. You can hear the sound of my voice. And you might tell yourself that every sound that you hear from this point on causes you to go deeper and deeper within. And as you're directing your attention inside of yourself, you can start to imagine a future vacation. Perhaps you're on a beautiful boat, or in a tropical island beach resort, or in a beautiful luxury hotel, or any place you might imagine being now. Take your time and imagine it's a few years from now. You've been doing hypnotic prosperity programming, motivating your inner resources, mobilizing your inner resources, and you've had great success over these years. And here you are in this special place, alone or with anyone who's special to you there, rewarding yourself on this beautiful vacation. Take your time to see what you see in this special place. What do you see that helps to represent your financial freedom? What do you feel? The feeling of, I have all the money I need to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Hear what you hear there. And then simply close your eyes in your special place and imagine taking a nice, well-deserved nap. As you imagine sleeping there in your special place, I will count backwards from 10 down to 1. Let each descending number cause your body and mind to relax even more, so that you'll be open to powerful prosperity suggestions that will easily become your reality. Number 10, relaxing deeper, deeper, deeper. Relaxed to number 9, deeper, deeper, deeper. Relaxed to number 8, drifting down and down and down to number 7, deeper, deeper, deeper. Relaxed to number 6, down, 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 deeper. Relaxed to number 5, more relaxed, more relaxed, more relaxed to number 4, deeper, deeper, and deeper. Relaxed to number 3, down, down, down to number 2, deeper, deeper, deeper. Relaxed to number 1. And it is at this point that you're allowing your conscious and subconscious mind to be open to receiving powerful and positive suggestions, affirmations, images, and ideas that easily and automatically become your reality. Everything you're now about to hear will be deeply embedded in your conscious and subconscious mind. You'll find you're automatically reacting and responding to these suggestions as they become true for you now. You continually raise your financial self-esteem to continually grow your wealth. You continually raise your financial self-esteem to continually grow your wealth. You continually raise your financial self-esteem to continually grow your wealth. You continually raise your financial self-esteem to continually grow your wealth. You continually raise your financial self-esteem to continually grow your wealth. Every dollar you spend comes back to you tenfold. Every dollar you spend comes back to you tenfold. Every dollar you spend comes back to you tenfold. Every dollar you spend comes back to you tenfold. Every dollar you spend comes back to you tenfold. You now open to a life of abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. You now open to a life of abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. You now open to a life of abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. You now open to a life of abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. You now open to a life of abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. Your mind now aligns to financial freedom and financial independence. Your mind now aligns to create ever more financial freedom and financial independence. Your mind now aligns to create ever more financial freedom and financial independence. Your mind now aligns to create ever more financial freedom and financial independence. Your mind now aligns to create ever more freedom and financial independence. You love feeling financially free and spiritually fulfilled. You love feeling ever more financially free and spiritually fulfilled. You love feeling ever more financially free and spiritually fulfilled. You love feeling ever more financially free and spiritually fulfilled. You love feeling ever more financially free and spiritually fulfilled. You now allow yourself to be wonderfully financially free. You now allow yourself to be wonderfully financially free. You now allow yourself to be wonderfully financially free. You now allow yourself to be wonderfully financially free. You now allow yourself to be wonderfully financially free. Your prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. Your prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. Your prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. Your prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. Your prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. You now do what you need to do to create multiple, prosperous, automated income streams. You do. You now create multiple, prosperous, automated income streams. 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 You now allow your money to make more money. You now allow your money to make more money. You now allow your money to make more money. You now allow your money to make more money. You now allow your money to make more money. And you do. You make money. You make large amounts of money. You create great wealth. You make money. You make large amounts of money. You create great wealth. You make money. You make large amounts of money. You create great wealth. You make money. You make large amounts of money. You create great wealth. You make money. You make large amounts of money. You create great wealth. You now do what you need to do to succeed. You now do what you need to do to succeed. You now do what you need to do to succeed. You now do what you need to do to succeed. You now do what you need to do to succeed. Your creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. Your creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. Your creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. Your creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. Your creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. Your feelings of prosperity precede your demonstration of prosperity. Your feelings of prosperity precede your demonstration of prosperity. Your feelings of prosperity precede your demonstration of prosperity. Your feelings of prosperity precede your demonstration of prosperity. Your feelings of prosperity precede your demonstration of prosperity. You are now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about increasing your income and wealth. You are now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about increasing your income and your wealth. You are now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about growing your income and creating more wealth. You are now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about growing your income and creating more wealth. You are now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about growing your income and creating more wealth. And now you rest comfortably in the feeling that the money is always there in abundance. You practice the feeling the money is always there in abundance. The money is always there in abundance. Money is always there in abundance. Money is always there in abundance. And imagine now you've had a wonderful nap in your special vacation place. And you stand up there and look out and sense the scenery. Look around you of that which helps you to be reminded of affluence, wealth, success, freedom, luxury, and quality. You repeat the following suggestions in your mind. Let your thoughts echo out throughout that space and to double back in upon themselves and to become your reality now as you repeat in your mind, I continually raise my financial self-esteem to continually grow my wealth. Every dollar I spend comes back to me tenfold. I now open to abundance, prosperity, affluence, and success. I now see myself as financially free and financially independent, and I do what I need to do to make that my reality. I love being financially free and spiritually fulfilled. I allow myself to be wonderfully financially free. My prosperity makes everyone better off and no one worse off. I create multiple prosperous automated income streams. I allow my money to make me more money. I make my money make me more money. I make money. I make large amounts of money. I create great wealth. I now do what I need to do to succeed. My creative thinking now opens the doors to monetary abundance. My feelings of prosperity precede my demonstration of prosperity. I am now more motivated, determined, enthusiastic, and passionate about creating a life of financial freedom. For me, the money is always there in abundance. And now start to see yourself taking action. See yourself taking massive action, being bold, putting yourself out there. See how you are living these teachings, letting your money make you more money, finding ways to be ever more free, independent, and joyful in your life. See a life filled with all that you would want, an abundance of free time and recreation and play, an abundance of time for family and loved ones, an abundance of time for travel and vacation. And see yourself doing what you love, watching the money follow, living your purpose, living your passion, fulfilling your dharma. Take your time to see it, for as you can see it and feel it and think it, so too does it become your reality. This work can only benefit you. It can only improve your life in every way. And every time you listen to this hypnotic programming recording, you'll get something even more out of it. You'll hear something you didn't quite hear before. You'll discover something new about yourself and your resources that open your mind to exponential growth. Now, if it's your time to drift into sleep, or if you like to repeat this hypnotic programming or just to remain in this relaxed state, then you can do so. When you come out of this later, you'll feel motivated to take actions that lead to ever-increasing success. And if you're ready to come back to your full and regular waking consciousness now to continue with your day and continue with your life, creating ever more financial freedom, you can take the following suggestions. I'm going to count from 1 to 5. When I get to the number 5, you'll be fully back. You'll be right here now. You'll feel wide awake, clear-headed and refreshed, feeling perfectly good in every way. And number 1, coming back more and more to your surroundings. Number 2, you remember this entire experience and you can return to this state anytime you wish. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, taking your time, beginning to breathe and move and stretch as if cool spring water rushes over your face, as if you're waking up from a wonderful rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, and number 5, you let your eyes open back right here now, wide awake and refreshed, and back to your full and regular, ever more prosperous waking consciousness. All right, hang on a sec and get back to video. All right, great. So we're back in classroom time. We're running over like I've been doing lately. But feel free if you have any questions or sharing, and this is time for that. And we can run over. I might stop the recording, but I'm here for you guys. I don't mind discussing this more. Someone said, during that abundance meditation, I realized I needed it more than I thought. Thank you. You're welcome. Great. You know, I'm going to download that to my phone and start listening to it again. I haven't done that kind of programming in a while. And the thing about the subconscious mind is it's virtually effortless. You're going to take action, but you have actions anyway. So why not get your mind programmed with that? And then when you sit down at the computer and you're on Facebook for an hour, Maybe that programming will make you do a half hour of social media, and the other half hour you actually work to build your wealth. Right? You're doing this, you're moving fingers looking at a computer screen anyway. Why not let that programming help you to get ever more successful? Great. Someone said, thanks for the inspiration. You're welcome. Another thank you. Another love it. Thank you. And thank you. Okay, nice. Thank you all. Another thank you so much. Matthew will definitely listen to this programming over and over. Yeah, so I'm going to post this on YouTube within 24 hours, this entire 2+ hour class. Yet to get that programming, it'll probably be online somewhere, but just feel free to email me. And yeah, we'll get that to you so you can listen every day. Great. Hello, sir. I'm not saying names, but good to see you there. Who just said, as always, bless you, Matthew. Thank you. Good to have you here. Thank you. All right, great. Yeah, I'm not saying names because we're on YouTube recording, but thank you everybody for being here. I'll stop recording, and I'm still here for any question, answer, discussion time if you'd like to do that. So good night, all. And next week, by the way, the class is scheduled for past life regression therapy. Basically, hypnotherapy, looking at past lives. So we'll get into some of the spiritual themes again next week. So I hope you join me next Monday night for past life regression therapy. All right. Good night, everyone.